Welcome to Gambia, such a beautiful country, and here we see the Atlantic Ocean, which is just a powerful, powerful force to be reckoned with. And it kind of takes my mind back to two big stories in the Bible regarding water. Yes, we get Jesus walking on water, and yes, we get Peter walking on water, and Jesus turning water into wine. But one of the first stories, the big stories, is the Red Sea crossing. You remember the story, the plague after plague after plague with Moses, and then they finally get to the Red Sea. And within the Red Sea, all of a sudden, Pharaoh's army comes straight after them with Pharaoh himself. And we can imagine them getting absolutely terrified, as you would. And so they come to the Red Sea. And the Red Sea is absolutely just wild as you can get. And I can imagine God's people panicking, wondering what's going to happen next. And just at that moment, Moses, with Aaron's rod, stretches it out towards the Red Sea, and God does the absolute impossible. He opens up the Red Sea, and the ground that they're walking on is dry. Now, I would imagine that would have been a very nervous walk across that Red Sea, as there is a wall of water on each side. You know, whether they can see the fish swimming about on each side or not, I don't know. But it's a fascinating thought. And as they're walking through and getting nearer the other side, they must be thinking to themselves, who else can do this except Yahweh, except I am that I am. He's the only one who's got the power to do this. And as they get closer and closer to the other side, maybe some of them start to look back, because remember, they're talking millions of people here crossing this. But as they get close, they look back, and who do they see? They see Pharaoh and his army coming towards them, walking through that same dry land. And in a state of panic, I would imagine they'd all be rushing to get to the other side. And just as quickly as God opened up the sea, God swallowed them up and swallowed the Egyptians and the armies. What a story that is. See, we talk about these events as if it's just the most normal thing in the world. But they're not normal. They're super normal. In fact, we'd say they're supernatural. God was protecting his people from the waves. He was protecting his people from the Egyptian army that was coming his way. And still to this day, he protects his people.
The food was good. Okay. Our fishing was good today. Good catch.
My other favourite story, as I mentioned, is the story of the Jordan River. You remember the story well, where God's getting his people ready to take the promised land, but there's an obstacle, a huge obstacle, a flood stage obstacle, the Jordan River. And as the snow was melting from the mountains up high, it was coming down and entering the Jordan River, which made it flood stage, if you wish. And it would have been really, really a dangerous place to be, never mind try to get across. And so God speaks to Joshua, and he speaks to the people, and he said, this is what I need you to do. In preparation to get over there, simply do this. I want the high priests to go first, the Levites, those who are carrying the Ark of the Covenant. I want them to take the lead. You see, in that way, God is always leading his people. And where God leads, his people follow. And he says to them, I want you to go to the Jordan River. I want you to go to the edge of the river. And then I want the Israelites, the Levites, to step into the water. And then I'll show up. Then the water will stop. Now, can you imagine that, having that conversation with the rest of the Israelites? Oh, what did God say? Quite simple, he says, I want you to go down to the Jordan, I want you, the priest, to take the first step in the water, and everything will be fine. And you can imagine the nervousness and people thinking about this overnight. And then the day comes. They go with the Levites first. those carrying the Ark of the Covenant. You could imagine them stepping at the very edge of the Jordan as it's raging. Remember, it's at flood stage. And maybe they're thinking to themselves, we can never do this. This is just, God, we trust you, we love you, we'll obey you, but we want you to open up the river first and then we'll take that step in. But God says, no, 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 no. Real faith is demonstrated in the fact when you take that step first. The Bible says, as soon as the Levites carrying the Ark of the Covenant stepped in the river Jordan, the waters parted. The waters parted and they walked through on dry land, just as they did at the Red Sea. Isn't that an incredible event? See, the point is this. When people talk about faith, it's very well saying, I believe in God. It's very well saying, well, I can believe that God can do anything. Real faith is trusting God and taking Him at His word. He says, I want you to take that step of faith and trust me to take care of your next step. And that's what walking by the Spirit means. It means that we trust God, we take the first step, and we trust Him that He's going to take and help us with our next steps, regardless of what life throws at us. And so we may have obstacles. We may have a Red Sea in front of us. We may have a Jordan River in front of us. But God says through in all of this, trust me. Listen to what I'm saying and trust me. Take that first step. Trust me today and trust Him for a miracle tomorrow is what He's telling us. And so God, in simple terms, says if I can open up the Red Sea for my people to cross, if I can open up the Jordan for people to walk across, then I can certainly take care of your next steps and your journey with me. That's what God promises. God bless.